Wow, we are painfully back in the Agony booth with our good friends in the realm of Star Trek. Excuse me.
Are we speaking Klingon? What was that?
No.
Well, heaped to you too. And kapla.
Kapla, brother.
We have Australian Jason.
Good day.
I don't know about that one. We have Captain Nita. And we have the very gracious returning Star Trek guy. So good to see you again, buddy. How you been?
I've been well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I inhaled something too quickly and I caused my first hiccup live. So that's always fun. All right. We are here for an amazing, one of the best episodes of Star Trek ever.
My favorite, Code of Honor.
That's right.
You know that man's in the KKK.
Absolutely.
You know it.
I think he leads the KKK.
We are here for the Code of Honor. So let's just get into it. Every time I watch that, I still giggle. I find it interesting that, you know, the Wheel of Agony is just so cruel that for Black History Month, we had to watch this episode.
Do you know what I find cruel?
Here
what
we go.
in the world?
He has a disco scene.
Yeah, I have a disco thing going on.
No,
So.
you
in
want
honor
to
of
know
the
what?
70s.
Do you want to know what I think is cruel?
What's that?
If you have not been watching the show, first of all, what is wrong with you? Second of all, our friend VHS Jace, who I have stolen the moniker of Australian Jason from this week because I think that I deserve it. Every time we have rolled an episode on the Wheel of Agony, he has taken that episode out and replaced it with Code of Honor so that we would eventually tumble across this mountainous mound of frog feces that this episode is. And he's been doing this now for almost since November.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we took a little break for Prodigy, but yeah, he's been doing this since November. We finally come across it. We finally rolled Code of Honor. Where's VHS Jace? He's not here.
He's on vacation. Well deserved. He puts a lot of work into this channel, so you know.
I
He
think
should
it was
be here.
planned.
I think it was planned as well. Very upset.
All
I
right.
think we
very
should bring
angry.
this up in the next meeting.
Quite salty. There is no Code of Honor in the fact that he is absent.
He has no honor.
He has no honor. There will be no vaccine.
All right, we're gonna start it off with Star Trek guy, our special guest. What did you think? What did we just watch? What was going on?
Are we not gonna do the synopsis?
We don't have a synopsis. So, yeah, so if you want to make one up, go for it. We'll have you do that.
The crew of the USS Enterprise visit the Ligonians, who have a vaccine for a virulent plague. Only they decide to kidnap Tasha Yar, yada, 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 racism, the end.
You forgot sexism. But
Sexism, racism, the end.
yeah. The end. All right, Star Trek guy. What did you think? What was your initial...
You
what
know,
did we just watch?
the last two times I've been on, I have been the beacon of positivity.
Yeah.
I've been the one that's been
Do it.
trying to bring the episode up, and
Do it.
I'm not able to for this episode.
Let the hatred flow through you.
Good.
It's got
It's-
horrible theming.
Yeah.
It's got terrible outfits,
Something dark side.
terrible dialogue.
Something complete.
And yeah, that's his. I'll go into specifics later, but that's my initial impressions.
All right. How about you, Nita?
Oh, the misogyny.
Mm.
And they cover it with the facade of, well, she is really in charge. No, she's not. She's
Right.
really not in charge. If you've got to fight some chica for your man, you don't have any kind of say in that relationship. I mean, really. And you're one of how many wives? That diminishes your power there, in my opinion. I think that this really hit hit a nerve with me. The misogyny, the imagery of Black culture and Black society, um, kind of the stereotype influence that's on this episode is it's sad. I think Star Trek has done better, could do better, and should have never done this.
Mm.
They were on a bad trip.
All right, Australian Jason.
Well, let's see.
It's like how long before his voice gives?
Well, let's see. As a member of the Mayonnaise Mayonnaise Man Guild, someone who thinks air is too spicy, and someone who gets a sunburn on a cloudy day, I don't think that it's really my place to speak on what is and is not offensive to the Black community. Most of the time, this is one of those times where I can look at this and go, "Oh, that's not right. That is wrong. This should not have been done." Beyond that, forgetting the rampant racism and sexism of this episode, it's just bad. Everything about this episode is bad. Just so much. And I will actually be the one to say the positive about this episode. I do believe that there was a small, minuscule nugget of what could have been a good episode in here. It was just not dug up and polished, and I will talk more about that later, but it was bad. Very bad.
As a African American young man, I keep calling myself young, just don't look closely at my hair. I have to say that, yeah, this one was tough to watch. I got straight out of Africa vibes out of this one, and just so much wrong. The costumes and some of the cultural misappropriations, I want to say, in this just threw me off. And what threw me off more than anything was the return of the Jerry curl. It was just like, wait, did they think that was going to be the style of the future? Like, the Jerry curl was terrible. And then the weapons and the fighting, and it was just like, who approved this? Doesn't there like a committee that reviews the writing and the staff and the teleplay and go, you know what, this is not so good. Maybe we shouldn't publish it. And I think they didn't have that. And I think this is a season where Gene Roddenberry's still alive, if I'm not mistaken. So, I'm surprised he didn't even go in there. Like, you know what, this is kind of weird, But who am I?
Yeah, I thought that it was interesting that you said the African imagery, but it was more like, for me, the stereotypical African imagery, because even in the 90s, Africa was not like this in any way. So how is it that an all Black planet is so they have what, warp drive, so you can contact them?
No, they didn't have warp drive.
Exactly. So thing. Why are you contacting things? They're not space.
They only because they had the vaccine.
Only because they had the vaccine. But how can they be so backwards in such a progressive time? And that image of Black and brown people not being progressive, not being up to the times, and always being held back was kind of shown there in the background of what those images they were showing. It was very insulting. And maybe someone in the writing department said something. I hope someone stood up, but he or she was outvoted.
That's very interesting you say that, because the background research that I did on this episode, because I do research, is that whenever this episode was first written, the what were they called again? Ligonians?
Ligonians.
The Ligonians were written in the first draft as reptilian. And somewhere along the line, they made the conscious choice to turn a reptilian alien species into a planet of African Americans. I'm going to say African Americans. I don't know if they were all American, but they made that choice to turn it into a planet of people of color. So I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that writer's room just to see what kind of thought or lack of thought went into this episode.
It's funny that you mentioned that because the episode that follows this dealt with a reptilian species. So it's like you made the costumes, you had everything there anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you just stick with the reptilian?
Maybe they decided that they'd rather have the reptilian costumes for the next episode and said, hey, you know what? Let's just make this, let's just make them all black. Hey, you know.
Well, that brings us into this next segment already.
There's nothing there.
There.
Yes.
And literally, there's nothing there.
Right there, sir.
Yes. Okay. Oh my.
You know, as I watched
why
I
did they
said,
do that?
"Oh my!" When I was watching this,
Oh
I
my.
went, "Oh my," because
It's not the sensual oh my, it's the like I just smelled a fart, like oh my.
yes, like I offended myself with something or other.
Yeah.
It was like, why? There was no purpose. You know, a lot of times when Star Trek has brought up race or culture or something, there's always a purpose to it. You know, to bring out, okay, these are the negatives, these are the positives, this is, you know, what's happening in society today. But
Yeah, why did they do that?
you could have gotten the vaccine any other way and had drama in between. And the acting, I'm not a Tasha Yar fan. It was pretty terrible.
You got no love for Denise Crosby?
No.
Oh man. All right, Star Trek guy. Why would they do that?
First on Denise Crosby. One thing I will say about her is I handed her a mic at Star Trek Las Vegas, and she immediately started singing.
Yeah.
She just immediately we handed it to her. I didn't even do an intro for that video. Mom just hit record, because it's just her. So my video of her is just is the beginning of it is just her singing. So she does seem like a delightful person in real life.
Right.
Why would they do that? You know, like Australian, I guess this side said, as a I like to call myself Wisconsin white.
So, that's a color palette. I've seen that.
So
I have that in my ceilings.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like particularly offended by anything because it just doesn't apply to me. So it would be best if you just skipped me for this one. I would rather delve into other things.
Okay. All right.
But I understand that it is fundamentally bad.
Yeah.
And fundamentally rooted in back thought, backwater thoughts.
Right. Right. Australian Jason?
Well, I do know this. In my research, I discovered that the director, Russ Mayberry, was fired because he objected to the casting of African-American actors for the Ligonians, knowing that they would play a primitive culture. And I'm going to catch some hell for this, but it's reported that the man who fired him was Gene Roddenberry.
Oh.
So,
could there have been a misunderstanding?
There could have been a misunderstanding.
Maybe they took it as in, oh, he doesn't want black people on the show.
Yes, but if you've ever watched William Shatner's brilliant documentary about the first season of TNG, it's called Trouble on the Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was free on Amazon Prime last time I looked. But Gene Roddenberry had a lawyer, and Gene Roddenberry's lawyer, and life me, I cannot remember this man's name. If I heard his name, I'd remember. But Gene Roddenberry's lawyer was not a good person. He was basically like running things behind Gene's back with Gene's blessing. And I kind of get the feeling that maybe his fingerprints might have been all over this. And, at the end of the day, Gene Roddenberry was a human being with failings just like everybody else. Absolutely. I don't think that they purposely set out to make an episode that would be reviled as being racist or sexist. But you kind of have the feeling sometimes that maybe Gene was buying into his own, into the propaganda that he was this great progressive thinker. And maybe he didn't put as much thought into things as he thought he did. And maybe he carried some prejudices that he didn't know he carried.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I'm I'm really trying not to dump on his legacy because he was a very important person on Star Trek, and I know there's nerds out there just going like this, getting ready to type mean comments into the comments, and our follower count just went up. I don't know what I just said, but things happen. Bad decisions are made. I don't think anybody purposely set out to make an episode this offensive, but it happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nita.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. Absolutely. Sometimes we like to sit and judge individuals we haven't met and said, oh yes, this was purposely done. They're all a bunch of racists. La la la. That's a pretty strong title to give someone you don't know. And considering the overall themes of the episodes and legacy of Star Trek, we can absolutely say that this was not, for me, it was not intentional. I think that what they wanted to convey, they did not convey. It was not brought about clearly, because if you look at Star Trek as a whole, the movies, the episodes, the representation, you have it all there, and they have worked very hard to be positive. So I don't think that it was intentional. I think it was misguided. I think that it's sad that they didn't pay attention to those little nuances, but like Star Trek guy says, sometimes when it doesn't really apply to your life personally, you tend to miss things. We all do, right? Because we're human beings. And maybe this is something that happened. Now, I'm not excusing bad behavior or racism or the misogyny that was choking me in this episode, but I do believe that the overall mission of Star Trek is not reflected here in this episode.
I'm sorry, I just want to jump in here real quick because Geek Filter just said that Leonard Maislish was Gene Roddenberry's lawyer's name.
Yes, thank you,
So,
Geek Filter.
Curse you, Gene Maislish!
All right, well, let's go in the comment box and then let's just say hello to Cosmic Mom. She's
Hi,
here.
Cosmic Mom.
All right.
Love you.
And then we need code of honor so that the rest of season 1 doesn't seem so crappy.
No, it's not that bad because the rest of the season is just garbage. Sorry.
Yeah. I couldn't bring myself to rewatch it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I watched it once. I couldn't do it twice. Cars chicken legs do it for me every time.
As I said, it's like 2 millimeters away from being a TVMA.
Yeah. And then apparently Aaron Sugar couldn't rewatch this episode either. So only we have suffered in this agony booth.
Oh, thank you guys.
This is a great idea.
Yes.
Let's make Jace watch Code of Honor, Clockwork Orange style. Star Trek, have you ever seen Clockwork Orange?
I haven't.
No, it's one of the most messed up movies that's ever made.
It really is.
It's very terrible and
horrible. Don't bother.
The main protagonist is Malcolm McDowell, who was in Star Trek Generations, the main villain.
Yeah.
So, if you ever want to go back, there's a scene where they strap him to the chair, pry his eyes open, and then put eye drops to keep him lubricated and force him to watch things. So that's what we're going to do to Australian.
Yeah. He deserves it.
All the isms.
Yes.
Sexism, racism, all of it. All right. Has Denise Crosby ever weighed in on the episode? She's only had so many episodes to focus on.
I believe she has, and her weigh-in was quite negative, if I remember right. I don't know what she said. I can't recall what she said, but it was not nice. I can't think of a single Star Trek actor who said anything nice about this show. Even actors who weren't on the show, like Garrett Wong and Michael Dorn. Michael Dorn wasn't in this episode. I don't know if you noticed.
He came right after this one.
Yeah, they just had no good things to say about it.
Yeah. Did they hold your eyes open for Aaron Sugar? Those space black aliens look like Earth, Wind, and Fire sang in September.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
When we
That
went
is
on
what
Enterprise and
I
stole
kept
Tasha.
thinking about. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Every time they would show them, I'm like, are we going to Studio 54?
Terrible.
Which was a club back in the 70s.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know that.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, if you just read the script with no description, there's no indication of the racist imagery. Misogyny is still there and was badly written. That's very true. The animated series had a better "We Need a Vaccine" episode.
Oh,
I
what was that
Enterprise
episode?
had one of those too.
I
And
remember
then
the
Leonard
animated
Metric.
episode.
Yeah. So we got Pirates of the Orion.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That was the one.
That was the episode with the vaccine.
Yeah. He wasn't involved back during TAS. He took money from the show and then later tried to tell Gene he wouldn't be taken seriously if he was connected with the animated show.
Yes, because, being involved with a show with pointy-eared hobgoblins and people who disappear and reappear on a ship, that's fine. But get involved with a cartoon, that's too far.
I resent the accusation. This is from our good friend, YK Productions, who is our producer and our maestro. I resent the accusation that I may have set this up. It may be a brilliant idea. It may have been meticulously executed, but definitely not a setup.
Yeah, we would like receipts of that evidence, please.
Yeah, you're still
we need evidence to back that up.
You're still in trouble.
In definite trouble.
So Iron Sugar says, I love that they were finally able to get rid of that lawyer when the guilds got involved because he was producing and writing behind the union's backs.
Yes, again, fascinating documentary by William Shatner called Trouble on the Bridge. I highly recommend it.
Apparently he's not well liked in the content room.
He's not.
The episode reminds me a lot of Zamunda from Coming to America.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned that because the hairstyles reminded me of Soul Glow for sure.
Yes. It's just like Coming to America if the terrible sequel came out first.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let us hop into redeeming features.
It looks like gold. Tastes like gold.
It is gold.
Is it though? And ironically, that's the episode that's before this one, right?
That almost, it's like a huge step down in quality, which is amazing if you really think, because that's the episode that introduced the Ferengi as little jumping monkeys.
Yeah, that's also pretty good. Yeah, that's why you can't have
this is why we can't have
lawyers.
Nice things.
That's why you can't have lawyers doing all this type of stuff.
Yes.
So what are the redeeming qualities? So I'm going to start this one off because I thought the redeeming qualities were there was this guy who was a jerk, and
is that? Oh my gosh, is that the dude from I don't know what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Probably. And there was
Argyle.
Yeah. What happened to Argyle? I don't remember.
He just disappeared.
He just disappeared, right? So
Yeah,
Geordi became the chief. So he was the chief engineer, and then he randomly disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And then Geordi became the chief engineer.
Yeah, in a novel, he was murdered.
Oh,
so okay. Yeah, he was so unimportant on the show. He just got murdered off screen.
Yeah, he died off camera. All right, Star Trek guy. Any redeeming features in this guy?
I thought the weapons looked cool. I mean, it's hard to get weapons wrong.
It looks like they turned Pinhead's face into a boxing glove.
Yeah. I mean, it was gold, and I thought that little arena was cool too that they fought in.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of. I think when she gets in there and she touches it, and it goes and lights up. That was kind of cool.
Hey, that was a cool special effects shot too. Whenever they're showing the matte painting of the palace and those 4 lights just went up, I was like, that looks good. I like that.
I got something. Yeah. What else, Star Trek guy? Or was that
I also have to admit, I really liked when her glove came off. And the guy caught it, and then a second later, there's the dramatic reveal. He's been impaled, and then he just dies unceremoniously right there.
I love that because that was like Wile E. Coyote if he runs off a cliff and he doesn't fall until he looks down.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It
like,
hit me in the
here's your weapon back. Oh wait, have I been stabbed? Dead.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right, Nita, Captain, what do we got?
Okay, so for me, I do think that just to clarify, not the actress, the character Tasha Yar is not my favorite. Okay. But the fighting scene, I mean, she was terrific, and the other lady, the Ligonian woman, they just fought really. The choreograph was excellent on the fighting there. But I like the fact that the Enterprise figured out a way so that no one would die. You know, that they
Except
were
for
able
the
to
one guy.
revive. Yeah, well, yeah, he wasn't a part of the survival plan, and they were able to revive her, and she demoted the husband who started all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because sometimes you gotta demote somebody right out of your life.
Yep.
Well, but that's the thing. She didn't demote him out of her life. He just made him number 2. I didn't like that. I'll say that. I didn't like that at all.
Big number 2.
He was. But yeah, you're right. He was. You know, the other guy became first. The guy with all the
being
pearls
first
on his
holds
helmet.
more power than 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah, but she shouldn't have taken him back. She should have made somebody else her second.
Just
she
like
may
throwing
have
them
not
all
had the
together.
choice though.
You can't be second. You have to be turd.
He was a turd.
Everything goes back to a poop joke on this show. I don't know why.
Yeah. All right,
But
Jace.
I actually like that part that she demoted him.
Jace, what is your redeeming?
Okay.
Okay.
No, I have some positives about this episode. I actually do. That's why I took notes.
Oh.
First of all, the musical cues in this episode are fantastic. They are very reminiscent of classic Trek. And of course, being the researcher that I am, I went in to find out why. The music in this episode was written by Fred Steiner, who was a musician working for classic Trek. So one of the classic Trek composers came back and did the score for this one. And it shows. It has got some great musical cues in it that are very nostalgic, very reminiscent of the old Star Trek series. Data gets in a banger of a burn on Picard whenever he calls French an obscure language.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was just wonderful. Okay, there's a scene in this episode that I found unintentionally hilarious. They tried to write it as comedic relief. It didn't work quite well because Data comes in and Geordi's shaving with, I don't know what it is. It's never touching his skin. Data makes a remark, oh, there it is. Look at that. Yes, he's trying to shave his face with one of those stampers they have at the bank. I don't know what they're called. But Data tries to tell a joke, and he can't tell the joke right, which honestly, I thought the joke was funny, personally. I want some kiddlies. Give me some kiddlies.
I thought so too.
What is funny about this is that Geordi's shaving without his visor on, first of all. Which I couldn't shave without my eyes. I couldn't do it. Geordi's he's a braver man than I am. But what I thought was most intentionally funny is that after Data starts telling his joke, Geordi tries to run away.
Yeah.
Without his visor on.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, this is a very, very brave man to try to run away from someone not wearing their visor. And then Data makes a slip of the tongue. And I'm like, why is this so hilarious? But yeah, those are my positives. Is an unintentionally funny scene in the music. I thought that both of those were great. Also, the woman who played Urena has a line at one point whenever Tasha tells her, well, this isn't the way we do things on our world. She turns to her and with a fury says, this is our world. And I thought right there's the nugget of what could have been a good episode.
Absolutely.
Because if they were going to make a planet full of dark-skinned people, they could have done a wonderful analogy about Western imperialism, about here comes the technologically advanced people coming in. Now we're going to tell you how you're going to live and what you're going to do, and this is what you're going to provide for us. It could have been great, I think. As a matter of fact, I know that we've already had one episode that was basically remade, and that's the Naked Time was remade on Star Trek The Next Generation as The Naked Now. I want to issue a challenge to Star Trek. Strange New Worlds, Picard, heck, even what did I say? Picard. I didn't mean Picard. I meant Discovery.
Yeah.
Discovery, Strange New Worlds, even Prodigy or Lower Decks. I challenge them to remake Code of Honor.
Yes.
I challenge them to do that.
Appropriately.
I challenge them to fix what was broken with this episode and, take up the theme of imperialism.
Paramount will
I think
find your challenge illogical.
That sounds like something a coward would say. I thought you lived by a code of honor.
Of honor.
Yes.
So yes, reclaim your honor.
Idea.
Remake this episode.
There you go.
Yes, an excellent idea. I think they should. I think
Literally called a bank stamper.
A bank stamper.
Shut up! It is not.
The Spike Glove made a reappearance in Lower Decks. Yeah, I think
that is true.
Pinhead's face. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
When I look at the Spike Glove, it kind of looked like a flamingo with spikes because it's like
the deadly flamingo.
The deadly flamingo.
Yeah.
The Flem Death Go.
All right. So
if you get stabbed with this flamingo, you go to death.
All right. So before we head over
many more.
I know you do. We got dad jokes all day.
Before
we head to the wheel to see what
it's going to become the new Shreddies you just watched.
Oh God!
No.
By the way, have you eaten that yet?
Yeah, we want a Shreddies update, please. A video on
Look
TikTok.
At his eyes. He was like, oh. Yeah, you forgot to do that.
We want a video and update. Something, please.
All right. So in honor of this episode and the hairstyles, we're gonna have a special commercial. All right.
That's misleading because anyone who wore that would know never to touch the hair after it's been applied.
Exactly. Oh, there's the box of Shreddies.
Eat it.
Make sure you put the blueberries in it. All right, live on the air right before we go to the wheel, we're going to have a Shreddies tasting. And they put it in the plastic that's almost impossible to open. I'm giving you like a play-by-play.
All right.
Here we go.
This is podcasting at its best.
Yeah, that's right. Live tasting.
Shreddies in honor of Code of Honor.
Yeah.
How does it compare to Code of Honor?
Well, anything's better.
These are checks.
They're checks?
They're checks. I was expecting something like colon blow or something. This is good. I like this.
Yeah, it's actually a good cereal. I remember having it. I had it like once or twice.
You're going to be on the toilet for hours.
All right, are we ready? It is time. It is time to see what our season finale of Agony Booth will bring next week. Yes,
right,
my friends.
I'm eating the heck out of these Shreddies. These are good.
Yeah, they're good. They're good stuff. See, I wouldn't send you terrible things. I'm your friend.
You sent it because you thought it was terrible.
Things.
No, I knew it wasn't terrible. I've had it before. I knew it wasn't bad. I just wanted him to know that it wasn't bad. I wanted him to eat it. That was the whole point. It's like a double joke.
You know what's really bad?
What?
Andorian blue wine.
I remember.
So bad.
If you guys haven't,
it's because it's just Andorian urine, isn't it?
Some people might even say it tastes like old shoes.
Oh, yes. If you have not had a chance, please be sure to go to Star Trek Guy's TikTok and watch the video of him enjoying Andorian wine, dressed as an Andorian, which I thought was awesome. Nice. I love that touch. It was very cool.
Full cosplay, and he was fantastic.
He sure
did.
So
good. You were so good looking as an Andorian, I gotta say.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
It is a compliment. They're not bad looking aliens.
Does that mean I don't look good right now?
Oh, you look good, baby. You know that, baby. You know that.
All right. Oh my God. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to spin the wheel of agony. We have removed our fearless leader has removed all of the Code of Honors. It's very small. I've been told
we've eradicated it like polio.
Yes, we have had the vaccine.
The vaccine.
The vaccine. And we have brand new episodes, including TNG Haven, TOS, and All the Children Shall Lead. And
Haven is not that. Wait.
Oh, where did he go?
Did he say the children shall lead?
Did he just abandon us?
I think so. That is not a good
thank
idea.
God. Okay. Well, I'm in charge now. So
Oh no, that's a
Okay,
bad
wait,
idea.
hold on. Is the children shall lead the episode with the ghost guy? Oh, Jason's gone.
no,
I'm back. What did you do?
I
What
didn't
have
do
you done?
anything. My computer.
Can
just
you
said-
not do the Wheel of Agony without screwing it up?
I know, right?
I practiced too
And you have
much.
upset
did.
Star Trek guy. You have
Hey,
upset Star Trek guy.
is-
Apologize to him
Is
now.
the children
Sorry
shall
about that.
lead? Is that the one with the ghost guy?
I believe
Where the
so.
kids.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Wow. All right, so I'm gonna go back
I'm
to
gonna
reading it.
full disclosure. There's an episode on the wheel that I love, so
Oh, wow.
you're not alone.
Discovery, Such Sweet Sorrow, Picard, Hide and Seek, TNG, Sub Rosa, DS9, Prophet and Lace, TAS, Practical Joker, Voyager, Coda, and who knows?
Coda Honor, what?
Coda Honor.
No more Coda.
Here we go. The wheel has spun. There begins the agony season finale. What are we watching, ladies and gentlemen? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Enterprise, 2 days and 2 nights.
I love that episode.
That's a great episode.
I don't agree.
Honestly, I don't remember which one that is. So
I was not a fan.
Dude, Trip and Malcolm. Wait, that's the one where Trip and Malcolm get seduced and then tied up in the basement, right?
Yeah, it was so weird. It was.
I
so
honestly don't remember this episode at all.
No, this is the episode where they go to the planet and Porthos pees on the tree and he has to apologize and he gets Porthos gets sick.
No,
And-
isn't that
That's
a night in
that's a
sick
night in
bay?
sick
That's
bay.
a night in
Oh,
sick
Night
bay.
in
Night
Sick
in
Because I
Bay.
remember
Yeah,
now, that
that's
was a
the
garbage
one I
episode,
love.
yes. But
Yeah, this is
No,
the
I
one-
love that episode. Not
This
this
is the one
then.
where Trip and Malcolm in the undies and Hoshi.
Yeah, Trip and Malcolm in their undies. They
Yeah.
get stripped
Oh yes,
Oh, my.
Yeah.
that's a good.
Oh.
and tied up.
so
Yeah.
it's a close go away mission.
Yeah.
Isn't that half of what Enterprise was?
Yeah, that show was very sexy.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember so little about Enterprise. I'm just gonna have to rediscover it, I guess.
All right.
I was
Uh,
watching Carbon Creek. I do a watch along every Saturday on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So we were watching Carbon Creek, and there's a part where Jolene Bullock is just behind a sheet, shirt off, light projected right on it. I'm like, am I going to get demonetized for this? Am I about to get?
You got banned from TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Banned
let's
for
go to
playing
the
Enterprise.
aftermath.
Now, why don't you go back to your quarters? I'll be along shortly to say hello.
I've got a cold, so I'm waiting for all these transitions to like sniff all the snot back into my face. So you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those forgettable episodes for me, so it's
I
going to be
remember
interesting
the
to
episode now. That's
go
not
back
such
and-
a terrible episode.
No, I was not a fan of this episode.
I liked it. I mean, it wasn't one of my favorites, but I didn't think it was.
We're still talking about the Enterprise episode, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, are you talking about Code of Honor? What?
Oh
No,
no, Code of
my
Honor.
brain-
it-
okay.
That has been buried 6
Yes.
feet under.
What-
That's
Well, I thought
it.
this was what the aftermath was. 'Cause
Oh,
I
double
want-
dear.
I want to go through my notes here with your permission, of course.
Absolutely, but let me
Okay.
just go,
So-
go through the comments and then we'll
Very well.
Yes. Andorian wine is still better than Manischewitz. None of you else. Okay.
I
I don't know what
I
Manischewitz.
get it.
It's a,
Manischewitz was the
It's
lawyer.
a kosher wine.
Oh,
very,
it's
it's
Manischewitz.
very sweet. It's very
yeah. I have a bottle of Romulan whiskey, but waiting to share it with a friend. Star Trek, you've got one of those too, don't you?
I
I've
would
got
have to
2
have
of
a
them.
friend first.
Oh wait,
Oh,
the
wow.
whiskey? Right here.
Yeah,
My
he's got
gosh.
it. Yeah.
When I hit 100,000 followers, I'm gonna try it.
There
So
we go. There we go.
Are you going to dress up like a Romulan?
I want it. I already tried the Romulan ale vodka, but that came sooner than expected. I like shot up to 50,000. So with the Romulan ale, I definitely want to dress up like a Romulan.
Yeah. I hope you get that TNG suit because those were the best. Like the
Yes, with the
pointed
shoulder pads and
shoulders and the
everything.
thing. Yeah.
The ones in Prodigy looked pretty cool too.
Yeah,
Yes, they
those were
did.
cool. Yeah, they
Prodigy
did.
did a lot of really cool.
Yeah, they did a lot of good stuff. Yeah. If you say that episode, you get banished from to the cornfield.
Good cornfield.
All right. Geek Filter, have you ever had Vulcan marijuana? I'm all in. So my mom wants to get high. I don't know.
Mom?
My mom's in the nursing home. She's bored. She's like, no, sorry. The only smell that can make me vomit. So not a fan of marijuana. Triple Malcolm.
Marijuana is bad, okay?
Oh, well. All right. Let's hear the notes.
All right. So here are my random thoughts, and I'm sorry, these are just too good not to say. Okay. So they beam the Ligonians. They beam the Ligonian welcoming party into the cargo bay. It just shows that this episode is racist because they don't even want them in their transporter room. This is like meeting a foreign ambassador in a storage shed.
Well, the Ligonians wanted to come up on their own transport,
but they were still going to beam them into the cargo bay.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yar Kung Fu's Hagon, and Troy tells Picard not to apologize because it would weaken them. Literally 30 seconds later, Hagon apologizes to Luton. 30 seconds, I counted.
Yes, that's true.
Weird episode because there's actual glass in the observation lounge windows. They don't usually have that on the show. Also, this is the first time you ever see the holodeck grid, and there's carpet on the floor, which is also very weird. Troy is especially useless in this episode.
Yeah.
She sensed Luton's ambitious need for Yar, yet never said anything about it until after Yar was kidnapped. Wesley standing in the turbo lift, not setting foot on the bridge like a good boy, but he was standing in the turbo lift for what, 5-10 minutes? He was literally preventing people from getting to the bridge. Yeah. And of course, this is all showing that nepotism will get you a long way on the Enterprise, because if it was anybody else's kid, forget it. It would have never happened. Troy's uselessness continues. After a speech where Luton literally talks about the importance of honor in their culture, Troy leans over to Picard and says, they hold honor very high in their culture. Thanks, Troy, you big doofus. She's like that person in the office who doesn't understand what's going on and protects their job by just repeating the obvious.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna make a very mean nitpick right here. Why doesn't the Enterprise just lock onto Yar's comm badge and beam her up? And I know what you're gonna say. Well, this is an early episode of TNG. They didn't know that they could do that yet. But they literally lock onto Picard's comm badge later and beam him up.
In the very episode,
yeah. But then they can't get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Right.
If they beam her up, then the guy will immediately say, no vaccine for you.
No vaccine!
Picard literally fired torpedoes at their cities. Come on. Okay, did anybody notice this? When Yar is brought in, the first scene we see her after she was kidnapped, the guard who brings her in is missing an eye. And it's a fresh injury. Yar freaking gouged the guy's eye out, and no one ever mentioned it.
Wow.
Go back and watch. The guy's missing
he is.
His eye out.
He is missing an eye.
Well, she did say they're worse for wear, though.
Yeah, she did. That's right.
Hey, they should have said, "Wow, did you gouge that guy's eye out? That's amazing."
Yeah, well done, Tasha.
You didn't even cause a scar. It's like he's just
Picard
gone. Like
didn't even say,
great.
does he need medical attention?
You know, and whenever he left, she should have said something like, "Hey, thanks. I'll be keeping an eye out for you." Anything like that. She could have. Yar could have been so BA, but they just made the.
She was
okay.
so
Riker.
submissive to the idea.
Yeah, I know. Riker is also incompetent in this episode, and I like early Riker because early Riker was very authoritative without being just completely, pompous or anything like that. But at one point, he actually calls Crusher to the bridge to explain to him a message that he received from Starfleet about infection rates from the pandemic. And then 5 feet away from him, Geordi's reading the same message, and he understands it perfectly. Why not just ask Geordi, who's 5 feet away from him?
Geordi's on the Reading Rainbow. He has better comprehension.
Yes.
Oh
His
my
reading
god.
comprehension level was a lot higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was very odd that they also made a point of Deanna making her say that she liked the fact that this guy wanted her. No one would like this situation.
No.
She has literally been kidnapped to be sex trafficked.
No, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute because I found out something very interesting. But first, I'm going to say Lutan's plan, because the way I understand it, men cannot own property. Only women can.
Yeah.
Women own the property. The men protect the women. First of all, Lutan sucks at it. Secondly, his plan doesn't make sense. Because if it did, by this point, there would already be a sizable percentage of male landowners. So this system is not sustainable. Okay, so here we go. This episode was written by two people, Katharyn Powers and Michael Barron. First of all, this is Michael Barron. This is Michael Barron's one and only writing credit. He never wrote again after this episode.
Good.
I would hide away in a hole too.
Katharyn Powers, on the other hand, wrote a Stargate episode, Stargate SG-1, called Emancipation. The plot of that episode is a female officer is kidnapped and forced to participate in ritualistic combat to the death.
Apparently, she has a theme.
In this episode, which was criticized by SG-1 fans and cast members.
Wow.
So apparently, I would say she's not very good at her job.
No.
But she came back and wrote an episode for Deep Space Nine. It was actually the second episode of Deep Space Nine called Past Prologue, which was a lot better.
Finally.
Yes. So those are my notes.
Wow.
It just seems like there's
and then what did we say to all this? Well,
you mean Jason can research? He's not just there to look pretty?
Yeah.
I can do both.
Jason does all the things. Well, folks, we did it. We made it through.
My favorite code of honor.
Go back to the deep south, you Nazi.
Thank you so much, Star Trek guy, for joining us. It was so good to have you on again. So good to see you. Looking forward to you drinking those other drinks on your TikToks and your lives. That's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we have some exciting news, don't we, gentlemen and lady?
Do we?
Yeah.
I was told to show that off.
Yes. Yeah, there's that too. That's very cool. Well,
I think this wins the Facepalming Picard Award.
Yes, it does. Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to announce that tomorrow at 3 p.m., we will be releasing our interview with none other than, now, Jason, you can tell me his name.
Thomas E. Surprenant.
Yes. He is the special effects and makeup artist from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but as we know him from Star Trek Next Generation, Star Trek
Deep Space Nine,
yes.
Star Trek Generations,
mm-hmm.
Star Trek First Contact, episodes of Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise.
Yes, he has done.
And Star Trek Continues and the Star Trek Starfleet Academy video game.
He also did Batman Forever and First Contact, right?
The man has done
incredible.
Everything.
And he's
I'm still shocked that he talked to us, to be perfect.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was very nice.
He is a stand-up guy. Absolutely stand-up guy. Super cool. It's a great interview. He has lots of very interesting things to say. Please watch it. Please watch it.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. But while Jason slowly covers a cough,
it's
you
the
already
Shreddies. It's the Shreddies.
No, it's not the Shreddies. The Shreddies are delicious.
We'll mess you up on both sides. We hurt going in and we hurt going out.
Oh boy. So you already know us for the Captain's Quadrant. Make sure you check out Jason and Jason as they team up in the power of J-Skull.
It's very good, guys. I've watched it.
Yeah, talk about He-Man episodes and She-Ra. They're going to She-Ra right now. We have Looking Forward. We just released that on Tuesday or Wednesday, the first of the month. And that's where we looked into 7 new things that are coming out on streaming and in theaters. In fact, I have date night tomorrow, and we're going to go watch Knock at the Cabin.
Ooh, I'm going to go see that tomorrow also.
Oh, so then you know what? You and I are going to be talking about it. Woo!
Are we now?
Yes, and maybe 1 week later, which is another show, where we talk about movies and streaming services a week later after they've all the dust is settled from the chaos that ensued. We will hopefully have more behind the curtain, and we interview people in the business and see what's going on behind the scenes. And then in the future, we will have Backtrack Saturday morning, where we dive into the wondrous things of the 90s, 80s, and 70s cartoons that we just couldn't wait to wake up and watch every Saturday morning. And of course, we've got Off the Shelf. We've launched our first episode that features Rick and his wondrous limited edition Spider-Man jumping on roofs, signed by Stan the Man Lee himself.
Nice.
Not by me, but by Stan Lee. And then we have our other show. It is called VHS Vault, that has Jason and Jason returning again with different guests every week to talk about some of the classic movies that you may have rented at Blockbuster or your mom and pop stores. Just hope you stayed away from that one section. You know what that one is. So until next week, thank you again, my good hosts, co-host Jason and Captain Nita, and of course Star Trek guy. Thank you so much, everyone. Live long and prosper, and peace be with you.
Shreddies to you all.